Hari Om. Let's start with the prayer. Om Samasta Jana Kalyani Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanura Mardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Bande Jagadgurum Tvameva Mata Cha Pita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhuscha Sakha Tvameva Tvameva Vidya Dravidam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mamadeva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Gurudeva Deva. Hari Om. We are doing the Panchadashi, 8th chapter, and now close the door, noise. So let's do the sloka 24. Dviguni Kruta Chaitanye Dviguni Kruta Chaitanye Janmanashanubhutitaha Janmanashanubhutitaha Akutastam tadanyastu Akutastam tadanyastu Kutastam avikarataha Kutastam avikarataha. Dviguni Kruta Chaitanye Janmanashanubhutitaha Akutastam tadanyastu Kutastam avikarataha. So Vidyaranya trying to differentiate the Kutastha Chaitanyam and Chidabhasa. So what is Chidabhasa? Whenever I say I am conscious entity, what I am referring to is mostly Chidabhasa only, because pure consciousness, Kutastha Chaitanyam, doesn't say I am pure Kutastha Chaitanyam. This is also important, who realizes what also. I identifying with the local equipments and with the reflection of the consciousness by the local equipments, claim myself I am this. So that is the Chidabhasa that is claiming that using the mind, and Chidabhasa itself is due to the reflection of the pure consciousness by the mind, and whenever the mind is active, constantly mind is thinking, and that's why sometimes the mind is defined as flow of thoughts. Flow of thought means one thought of the other, where the reflection of consciousness occurring in this thought, in this thought, in this thought, in this thought. Even though there is no the detectable the gap between the thoughts, but since I know every thought, there is a constant awareness of the thought that is rising, and that constant awareness means the Kutastha Chaitanyam. I am aware of what are the thoughts coming, I am aware of when the thoughts are not there, I am always aware of. Not that thoughts have to disappear for me to know that I am pure consciousness, but when the thoughts are rising, my attention is on the thought and not in the awareness because of which the thought is known. So because Diguni Kruta Chaitanyam, there is a consciousness, because in the Chidabhasa, in the reflection of the consciousness, there has to be original light for it to get reflected. So original light is there both as an existence and also illumining the thought that rising, and there is the Kutastha Chaitanyam, but that is dominated by the special reflection that is occurring because that particular thought is being illumined and glorified, and because my attention is on that, therefore that is the Vritti Chaitanyam, and that is Chidabhasa Chaitanyam. So these two Chaitanyams are there. Chaitanya means consciousness are there. One is a background consciousness, and this is a spotlight. Just like as give an example, that there is a wall, that sunlight is there on normally, and there is a spotlight that is constantly beeping and from different arising from the different thoughts. So between the thoughts there is a sandhi, gap is there. There only wall consciousness is there. That is example. That's how he started. And that wall consciousness or consciousness of the background is called Sakshi Chaitanyam, and the spotlight consciousness or the Vritti Chaitanyam. And in the Vritti Chaitanyam is also there is a when it forms a spotlight, there is a background consciousness also there. The wall light is also there, or the light that is illumining the wall is also there, but on top of it there is a spotlight, but my attention is on the spotlight and not on the background consciousness, because this is being magnified. And that's what is essentially the magnified one keeps coming, going, as every thought comes, it is also going, coming and going. Therefore, janma nashanubhutitaha. It has a birth and a death, birth and a death, birth and a death. Every thought arises and goes, arises, stays and goes, arises and stays, goes. Therefore, there is a janma and in this sthiti and laya. So from which all thoughts arise, by which it is sustained, into which it goes back. Goes back where? Into my mind only. And that mind is illumined by the background, and that's what is essentially is the pure consciousness. So thoughts being birth and death, it is akutastam. Akutastam means it is changing. Buddhist word is being used as immutable, whereas the thought is mutable, because thought comes, thought goes, thought comes, thought goes. So constantly I am thinking, but I am jumping from one thought to other thought in so fast that I am not paying attention to the background. I know this thought, I know this thought, I know this thought. So knowingness also going rapidly, as though, because every thought is known. Without knowledge, the thought will not come and go. I cannot think without knowing what I am thinking, even though I may be thinking fast. So that janma nasha anubhutitaha akutastam tadanyatu, the different from this that comes and goes is the background. So in every thought I have to see thought coming, thought going, thought coming, thought going. That which is not going in all this is kutastam, changeless, is the pure consciousness. So it's difficult for me to pay attention to normal cases of thoughts coming and going. So the Vedanta prescribes a japa yoga. Japa yoga, we said, is same thought being repeated instead of different thoughts, so that I don't jump from one thought to other thought. And in my case, not only I can concentrate how the thought is arising from me and sustained by me and goes back into me, that me is background, that thought consciousness, and also I am aware of the silence between the thoughts. That's called sandhi. So that is changeless entity, because thoughts come and go, but I am there in the mind. And even in the deep sleep state also, that mind is there, Chidabhasa is there, but there is no particular thoughts. Therefore, there is no knowledge of the particular thoughts, because particular thoughts are not coming. Therefore, there is no subject-object duality. So what is there? It is the constant ignorance. Remember, when the thought is not there, there is only ignorance. And that ajnanam is there. That's called akhanda akara ajnana vritti. So kutastam adhikarataha. In the case of, if I pay attention consciously of that, not in the nidra state, in the waking state, and they call it a samadhi, but samadhi is not just the absence of the thought, but I am aware of that my state, that I am pure consciousness, and that is that not only that, I am also aware that I am that pure Brahman also. This is Aham Brahmasmi is there constantly reveling, and Aham Brahmasmi has to be known only through vichara only. So the avikarataha kutastam, that is not immutable, not changing, is the background consciousness. So with that, he has analyzed so far how thoughts arise, how knowledge arises, and what's the difference between the consciousness that is illumining the thought, which he calls it as the Chidabhasa, and the background knowingness of the thought as the Kutastha Chaitanyam. So knower, known, occurring all the time, but I am conscious of the knower and I am conscious of the thought also. Therefore, it is constant, which is unchanging, is the Kutastha Chaitanyam. So, who is the Sakshi is being addressed in the next sloka, that is 25, that we chant. Antahkarana tadvrutti, Antahkarana tadvrutti, Sakshidhyadavanekadha, Kutastam eva sarvatra. Kutastam eva sarvatra. Purvacharyahi vinishchitah. Purvacharyahi vinishchitah. So antahkarana tadvruttihi. Antahkarana, this means the subtle body that you have, and tadvrutti, the thoughts that are rising in the mind. Antahkaranam here is your buddhi, and the thoughts that arise in the buddhi. Sakshityadi anekada. So vrittis are the many, but sakshi, that because of the consciousness, I am conscious of that. When I say I am conscious, and that I am conscious of the thoughts also, I am conscious of the world. I am conscious of the world means I am conscious of this object, that object, because what I am conscious of is different objects only. And I am conscious of the space between these objects also. And space is recognized only because of there are two objects there for me to recognize space, because space cannot be seen otherwise through the eyes. So space can only recognize when there is 2 points that I am seeing simultaneously. The gap between 2 points that I see simultaneously is a space. Gap between 2 points that I see sequentially, that is 2 thoughts, is a time. So time and space coming from simultaneous or sequential observations occurring of the outside or inside the thoughts also. We said the inner thoughts also is being illumined. That is, the happiness thought or anger, desire and all that also defines space-time too. And since there are no thoughts, therefore there is no space and there is no time in the deep sleep state. And therefore in the deep sleep state I am there, I am beyond the space and time also. That defines that space and time are also are in me, but I am beyond the space also. That should be recognized. So antahkarana tadvrutti sakshityadi anekada. So this been in many ways that kutastam eva sarvatra. In all there is a kutastha chaitanyam, sakshi chaitanyam. Sakshi chaitanyam is the one who is aware of all the thoughts that arise in my mind. So what should I do? He says all the philosophy or all different methods of this one is essentially this. What is that? I am pure consciousness that illumining every thought and also every knowledge of the thought. That I am. Because I am conscious entity, I am existent entity. And I am conscious of this. So every knowledge is defined is only knowledge of. Knowledge of means I am conscious of. Conscious of means of this thought. I am conscious of myself. How do you say? I am conscious of myself is not another thought again. If it's another thought again, it's a vritti jnanam. But it is I am conscious of myself as I am. So how do I recognize? By shifting my attention from the contents of the thought to background sakshi. And this is what kutastam eva sarvatra. It is there in every thought and it's there beyond the thoughts. So it's not that I have to suppress the thought, I have to go beyond the thought, I have to go beyond the mind. There is nothing going beyond the mind. Mind is always there. If there is a mind, if it is alive, there will be mind. So beyond the mind is beyond only identification with the particular thoughts is what is beyond the mind. So these are to be understood clearly. Kutastam eva sarvatra. Purvacharyahi vinishchitaha anekada. So this has been discussed, not only this is my theory, this has been discussed by Purva Acharya, by the great Acharyas in the past, and vinishchitahi, by deterministic knowledge, this is so. And they have proved by establishing logically, scripturally, and what is this that I have been saying, anekada, in several ways and several means also. Just learn. It is not a repetition of Vedanta, because we are talking the same thing. You feel it's not a repetition, but it is a reinforcement of what I am. Because very soon after the class is over, we are back to the same routine. Because we forget that we are not this, but we are conscious entity. This includes anything that is starting from the body, mind, intellect, I am pure consciousness that illumining the whole thing, and because of me the body mind inert thing, whether it's a subtle or a gross, is being activated by my presence, mere presence. But from the point of consciousness, it's not doing any activation. If you ask Kuta, the pure Satchidananda, why are you illuminating all that? He says, what are you talking? There is no illumination, nothing, because there is nothing to illumine. So tadaikshata bahusyam, it saw. What is there to see? There is nothing to see. Then ikshata means it's a conscious entity and conscious of the internal arising from the jivas that are there. Therefore bahusyam, let me become many because of the vasanas coming in. All that is to be understood correctly. That's what Vedanta is. So Purvacharaihi Vinishchitaha Anekada. In many ways they have established that there is a constant consciousness. So what should I do in order to recognize this? It's not the discovery of something new. It is there all the time. So the light is there in this room, illumining every object. So in so many ways it is being illuminating. So I'm seeing the table here, I'm seeing the chair there, I'm seeing the mic there, I'm seeing camera there, I'm seeing table, all that I'm seeing, because in every seeing there's a thought arising, and in the thought there are two consciousness. One is as though, one is the particular thought that I'm conscious of, and also that knowledge of the thought. And how do I define knowledge? I cannot define the knowledge. All that I say, I know. I am a knowing person, but I know as this. So this is coming to express the thought, but a background is awareness, and consciousness cannot be defined, cannot be objectified. So I cannot analyze the consciousness independently, because the very analysis is only objectification of consciousness. Only thing that can be objectified is the inert, and subject cannot be objectified. So how do you define a subject? Subject is that which cannot be objectifiable, not an objectifiable entity, and that's how I define. So what is a Sakshi, and what is the Kutastha, the Chidabhasa, and what is the reflection? All this being analyzed using a pot example for external objects, and for internal perceptions, Kama, Krodha, the emotions are being taken, and using the example, there is a pure consciousness, and there is an illumination of these thoughts that arise, and that he calls it as a Chidabhasa dominated one, because in the background there is again pure consciousness is there as an existence as well as consciousness. So all that being treated, and with that the topic is essentially coming to the end, and is summarizing this in the next sloka 26. Atma bhasasrayaschaiva, Atma bhasasrayaschaiva, Mukha bhasasrayayatha, Mukha bhasasrayayatha, Gamyante shastrayuktibhyam, Gamyante shastrayuktibhyam, Ityabhasascha varnitaha, Ityabhasascha varnitaha. Together, Atma bhasasrayaschaiva, Mukha bhasasrayayatha, Gamyante shastrayuktibhyam, Ityabhasascha varnitaha. Yatha Mukha abhasaha, the reflection of the face. Here Bimba Pratibimba is mentioning, and showing that it's not different from the Chidabhasa aspect of it. So there are the Chidabhasa in terms of the reflected consciousness or conditioned consciousness and so on, different ways of description of the same thing. And Bimba Pratibimba is another one. So Atma Bhasasraya Sreva. So Yatha Mukha Abhasaha. So just as the reflection of the face, Asrayaha, there is a support for it. What is the support? One is the mirror, and there is the real face. So I want to see my face. I cannot see my face, but I need a mirror. I need a mirror. So when the mirror comes, what is there? I see my pratibhimbam, a reflection, and looking at the reflection, I have to recognize the face. So in the same way, looking at the reflected consciousness, I have to recognize the original consciousness. Because the original consciousness, unless it is there, reflection cannot occur. Unless there is an original face, there is no reflection. And in this case, the mirror is an instrument, karanam, instrument, they're called karanam, and that's why antakaranam, inner instrument. So I need a karanam for me to see myself. I need an instrument to see a mirror. I need to see my face. Hey, your eyes are looking red. So how do I see my eyes? Oh, bring a mirror. What has that to do mirror with my eyes? I need the mirror and see the reflections, and through the reflections I see my eyes. And when I make corrections and rub, I'm not rubbing the mirror reflection, I'm rubbing the original face only. So here all that is same occurs in the reflection, pratibimba vadam, or also chidabhasa vadam is called abhasa vada and bimba pratibimba vada. So bimba pratibimba vada and abhasa vada are somewhat similar. In the case of abhasa vada, I have pure consciousness which is all pervading, and I have a mirror which is same as the buddhi, that is the subtle material, and there is a reflection of pure consciousness in the buddhi, and we call it chidabhasa, and that makes the buddhi as though, quote unquote, conscious entity. Consciousness in the buddhi is not there. Buddhi is inert only because it's a material. But buddhi has become a conscious entity by reflecting the consciousness, and that we call it a life. So what is life? Life is nothing but reflected consciousness expressing through the equipments. So the doctor doesn't know what is life. So doctor says, I am alive, or he's alive. Why? He's breathing, or he's responding to the stimulus. So based on the response of the stimulus, he is making a judgment call that he is alive compared to other one, a dead body, which doesn't respond to the stimulus. So therefore, what is that pervades the whole body, that makes the mind, the body active, and he is able to think, therefore he is alive. Even the body may be lying, but if he is able to think, then we say he is alive. And his physiological functions are occurring, we say he is alive. And he may be murcha, but he is alive. Means all the prana, apana, vyana, udana, samana, all functions are going on, and if you put food, the digestion and excretion, everything is going on as per the regular. If you put just a matter, put a food into it, food remains there or stinks there only. It doesn't through digestion process and all that. If it is occurring, that means there is a life there. Life is getting expressed. So when is the life and all that? These questions keep on coming, and all that here is as long as he is responding and the physiological functions are occurring, that's because of what? Matter doesn't do all that. There is something other than the matter that is enlivening it. And how does that get enlivened? By the reflection process. According to this, there is essentially pure consciousness which is infinite, and in its presence, by reflection, the consciousness is getting reflected. Therefore, buddhi has become a conscious entity. It passed on to the mind, and the mind has become conscious entity. It passed on to the body, and body as though become a conscious entity. So all that is implied here. So atma bhasasrayaha cheva. So it is Atma Bhasa, it is a reflection of Atma, means reflection of the pure consciousness. Seva, Mukha Bhasa Asraya Yatha, just as the reflection of the face through a mirror. So, says that which has been happening, Gamyante Shastra Yuktabhyam. So, that because of the Shastram and Yuktibhyam, both by the Shastra, by the science, that means Vedanta Shastra, and Yukti by logical analysis, by together I can Gamyanti, I can arrive at that there is pure consciousness and there is a reflected consciousness. Reflection of the consciousness makes the reflecting medium also a conscious entity as though, and the medium reflection or the consciousness of the medium is only borrowed consciousness from the previous one. Ityabhasascha varnitaha. This is all the Chidabhasa has been described here. So in the Gamyanti, it is known through Shastra and Yukti, and this is the how the Pramana has been defined. So what is the Vedanta Pramana? Why Vedanta becomes a Pramana? Why any other religion cannot become a Pramana? Says Vedanta says that pure consciousness alone was there before and itself became many. So it is a material cause as well. No other philosophy tests that. It is only that whatever philosophy that says becomes a Vedanta. Vedanta means the Veda means knowledge. It is the ultimate knowledge, because now we are looking at the fundamental truth. What is the ultimate material? That's what a scientist is trying to investigate. What's the fundamental, how the matter arose, how the whole thing arose, etc. He is looking at that. Vedanta says that you cannot investigate like that. Why a scientist will discover? Because he is using the objective tools to analyze only objective world, because he is ignoring the subject who is analyzing the system. So he is looking at a partial system and making a complete theory out of it. And that's why it is called, the whole thing is avidya only. According to the Vedanta, all investigation of objective itself is not real. So how can it be? It's only mithya. So how can you make a fundamental theory out of a mithya? So therefore, the Shankara says the whole thing is only avidya only. The analysis of using a partial data and making a theory and claiming that that is the real science and the other things is not real science shows the stupidity of the scientists. That's why the scientists say God did not create. What created? Nature. What is nature means? He doesn't understand what nature really means. The nature means what? All the natural forces are there. How did it come into picture? That's what the investigation is. So we need something beyond the nature, because in the nature, how does the consciousness come into picture? And how does the beauty life itself is? What is the nature? It means only ignorance, only word nature doesn't know what it means. And using the word, if you say that you have discovered something new, it's only stupidity only. So I know he's a great scientist, but you are not understanding it. So therefore, this Shankara defines a shastram, a sign, is what? Brahma satyam, jagan mithya, jivo brahmaivana paraha. Anena vedyam tat shastram. What is a shastram? What is a science? This is a science. Shastram is science. What is the science? Science is that, real science is that which tells by which I know the absolute truth. What is absolute truth? Brahma Satyam. Brahma alone is real. Brahman is what? Infinite, existent consciousness, unlimited, which cannot be investigated, which cannot be known by any instruments, because knowing itself involves the knower known aspects, which are divisions in the infinite. Infinite means without any finiteness. It cannot be known also. But then what is the use of that? Brahma Satyam, Jagan Mithya. The world that you are seeing, investigating, itself is not real. So whatever theory is only as good as the source, as good as the object that you are investigating. It's like investigating the snake when there is a rope there. So how do I make a theories of what kind of snake it is? Is it a poisonous snake? Is it a colorful snake? All that analysis is meaningless when it is a rope there. Same problem. So Brahma Satyam, Jagan Mithya, Jivo Brahmaivana Praha. I am that Brahman. So the very subject that you are investigating himself is the Brahman. Oh, I don't think so. That's your problem. So problem is not with respect to the science. Problem is, I don't think so, is your ignorance only. For that, you have to open your eyes properly to see clearly. Dhanena Vedyam, by which this is known, is called Tat Shastram. That is a Shastram. Everything else is a Shastram. That means not convenient only. So if it is a ring, ring is, yes, I should know ring compared to bangle, because ring use is different from a bangle use versus a necklace. But that's only for transactionally I need to know, but not from the absolute point. It's all nothing but gold only. That also I should know, and that's what is being outlined. So in this theories, there are now is going to go into from 27th on up to 26, epistemological analysis has been presented. Now he goes into a different topic from 27 on, and now he's going to talk about the different theories of this. What is this? There is the Jiva and Jagat and Ishvara. So what is a Jiva? How you define a Jiva is going to be analyzed, and in the process it says there are actually three theories. One is essentially is called the Avachedavada, Abhasavada, Bimba Pratibimbavada. Avachedavada, Abhasavada, Bimba Pratibimbavada. And the Abhasavada, Bimba Pratibimbavada, they are almost similar. And Avachedavada is a little different, and Vidyaranya subscribe to the Abhasa. That's why we talk about Chidabhasa. Chidabhasa means reflected consciousness. So who is a Jiva as being analyzed? Now this is a simple theory, but there are different schools of thought, and these have been magnified so much that one is the Bhamati school and Vivarana school and all that, and different schools have been developed, and one should know where Shankaracharya doesn't differentiate. He uses both of them, and Gaudapada also uses both of them, but in the point of subsequent acharyas, they have prepared one compared to other, and therefore the one has to be careful and what we are talking about here. So let's get simple understanding of these theories. Then we'll hear the discussion of or negation of the Avachedavada by adopting the Abhasavada. So far we discussed in the previous talk the epistemology, we used in fact the Abhasavada. That means there is a reflected consciousness, original consciousness, and the reflecting medium. So in the Abhasavada or Chidabhasa, Abhasa is Chidabhasa. Abhasa is reflection. Chidabhasa means reflection by the chit, by the mind, and that's what makes the mind active as though it is a conscious entity. And reflection cannot occur without the original. So in the Abhasavada there are three ingredients. One is the pure consciousness, another is the reflecting medium, that is the local buddhi. So my buddhi is different from your buddhi because the local equipments are different. So wherever there is a local mirrors you can think of, or local pools of different pots with the water there is you can think of, and so many ways in which a reflection can occur. So reflecting media are different, and that's a localized. Now pure consciousness is not localized. Pure consciousness infinite. Being infinite, there is nothing other than that. So there is nothing other than Brahman. So if there is appearance of many, then it's only appearance but not really real. Since appearance taken as a real, the whole discussion is also at that level only. So even the world, Jagat, and the Jnanam, Ajnanam, everything is at this Vyavaharika Satyam only. And from the Paramarthika Satyam, there is no world of any kind. There is no Jnanam, there is no Ajnanam, there is no Jiva, there is no Ishvara. It is one pure Satchidanandam. No word can reach there, no thought can reach there, and nothing to reach there because it's infinite. So truth is a pathless land. Somebody declared, J. Krishnamurti declared, truth is a pathless land. So what do I do with that statement? I am looking for a path right now. So what should I do? So what should I do? Don't ask, because you are asking for a path. But I am suffering. What am I supposed to do? I had to discover in the process of inquiry that my inquiry itself is not valid, because I need to inquire and recognize that what I am seeing is not really real, but what is absolute is what I am. That requires an inquiry. So we'll go that into analysis. So there is a pure, the Abhasavada, a reflection theory. Abhasavada is a reflection theory. There are three things involved: pure consciousness, which is infinite, and a local reflecting media, and therefore local reflections. Chidabhasa is also localized depending upon the chit. So wherever there is a pots of water, if you say, that water is what in the sixth chapter, the Jalakasa, Ghatakasa, and Meghakasa and Mahakasha, four Chaitanyams have been discussed in the sixth chapter. But let's stick into the reflecting media are many. Reflecting media are local, and reflection of the consciousness occurs only when there is a subtle material. Can only reflect consciousness. The gross material can only reflect the existent part, and the Ananda part is reflected when the mind, subtle material is calm and quiet. Ananda also gets reflected. God Sachidananda. But these are all reflections only. The original Sachidananda is Akhandam, no reflecting media, nothing of the kind. So in the Abhasavada, there is three things, as we said: the original consciousness, reflecting medium, and the reflected consciousness. And when I say I am a Jiva, it's called conditioned consciousness, where I am conditioned by the notion that I am only reflected consciousness. So the Buddhi, where is the conditioning occurring? In the Buddhi only. So we have to be clear, where is the ignorance is? In the Buddhi. So Buddhi thinks that I am a pure consciousness, I am a conscious entity. That's what I am saying. Everybody says I am a conscious entity. Who is saying? Not the pure consciousness. This is a reflected consciousness Buddhi, or a Buddhi because of the reflected consciousness claims that I am conscious entity, I am an existent entity without knowing the original consciousness. The consciousness is I am borrowing as though, and therefore it is only a reflection of the original consciousness. And further reflection medium has to be there. So all three is always there as long as the Jiva is there. So then what is the difference between Jiva and Jivan Mukta and all that? Jiva is a notion in the mind that arises looking at only the reflected consciousness and the medium, and taking that I am this. So when I say I am this, I am starting with the Buddhi, and then to the mind and to the body level. So intellectually, when I claim I am a Jnani, I am an Ajnani, and whether it's a Vedanta, whether it's a truth or anything, the Jnani, Ajnani also arises in the Buddhi only. So this is what one has to be careful. Otherwise, all confusion, everything, who realizes what, and because people have theories, and even Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi says that I am pure consciousness, you have to go beyond the mind, and all these statements are taken as they are without understanding complete truth. Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi understands, but the people who follow may not understand clearly what is the implication of this. So a conditioned consciousness implies that I am taking myself with the conditionings. What is the conditioning? Reflecting medium. Reflecting medium now activated, and the medium is actually inert, but it's borrowing as though consciousness, superimposition of the consciousness on top of this, as though you can call it adhyasa, and taking this as the real, ignoring the original. That's what is a Jiva notion. Jiva is a notion in the mind arising by taking the conditioned consciousness as the original consciousness with all its limitations, because the conditionings or the reflecting medium are limited. They are, because Buddhi is limited, and space-wise, time-wise, object-wise, my Buddhi is different from your Buddhi, is different from somebody else's Buddhi, but every Buddhi is made up of subtle material, therefore it reflects. Reflection depends upon the reflecting medium. If the Buddhi is polished, then the reflection is bright. If the Buddhi is covered with the impurities, then the reflection still occurs because it's a subtle material, and that reflection is dull. So some look very bright, some look dull, same buddhi, same consciousness, but because of the covering layers, and that covering layers makes the reflection also not completely clear. And that's called the Abhasavada. In contrast to that, there is of course a Bimba Pratibimba Vada. That's what we discussed in the previous sloka. Bimba Pratibimba, that means a reflection of my face in the mirror. So there is a mirror there and my face is reflected, and therefore I see a reflection, and with using the reflection I can see what is the condition of my face. So that is called Bimba Pratibimba. I cannot see face, so I cannot know myself without the reflection. So without the knowing, without the reflection of the consciousness in the Chidabhasa, I cannot know myself also. Using the reflection, I have to recognize the original face. Using the reflecting Chidabhasa, I have to recognize my original is I am pure consciousness. The consciousness that I am is coming from the original consciousness, not the reflection. Reflection is only a medium problem. So reject the medium problem, claim that I am pure consciousness is self-realization. We'll go into more, because from this on, from the 27th and all the way up to 60 something is nothing but the discussion of Abhasavada, Avachedavada and Bimba Pratibimba. Vidyaranya takes the Bimba Pratibimba and Abhasavada are somewhat similar, so he doesn't distinguish between the two. Only the relation between the Avachedavada and Abhasavada is going to be discussed elaborately from now on. With this we stop. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.